It's the Locked On NFL podcast. Thanks for checking us out on YouTube. Subscribe for more great daily content. The first game of the day on Sunday, it was the defending Super Bowl champions, the GOAT, Tom Brady, and his 7 Super Bowl rings, taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Kind of a surprise addition to the 2021 postseason. The defending champs, though, they're on to the divisional round as Tampa Bay beat up the Philadelphia Eagles 31-15. This game was 31-0 at one point. Tom Brady threw for 271 yards, 2 touchdowns in the victory. Mike Evans caught 9 passes for 117 yards and a TD. Rob Gronkowski also grabbed the score for the Bucs. What else is new? Jalen Hurts had a tough day under center, though, for the Eagles. He did throw for 258 yards and a touchdown, but also tossed 2 interceptions in the final game of Philadelphia's season. The Eagles end the year 9-9 after finishing the regular season as the final seed in the NFC. And the Bucs got off to a hot start despite missing a bunch of their key members of their offense, cashing in 3 of 4 drives for points, 31-0 at one point in this game. Bring on David Harrison from Locked On Bucs to talk to us about this contest. Who gets and deserves most of the credit for the team coming out of the gates on fire, David?
I think everybody's going to, the easy answer is going to be Tom Brady, right? But really, I think when you look at it, it's really just a team effort. It's everybody doing their part and making sure they're in the right place. Early on in the game, I think you saw a little bit of a disconnect between Tyler Johnson, one of their, lower wide receivers in the depth chart, and Tom. But outside of that, at least with Tyler, he's at least where he's supposed to be, generally speaking, even if he's kind of cutting off his routes a little bit. But I think really what it boils down to is just everybody relying on each other to be where they're supposed to do, not to steal the Patriot way type of mantra or anything. But I think when you're down all of these playmakers and even some of your returning playmakers are coming back for their first week of action since like earlier mid-December, you kind of just have to rely on everybody to do their lone part. Don't try to do too much. Don't try to be the hero for the day. Just let the team operate the way they're supposed to. And I think that's really what happened.
Yeah, the offense obviously gets a lot of the headlines with Tom Brady under center, but we remember the Super Bowl last year. It was the defense that balled out that game. Todd Bowles had an incredible game plan, and he had an incredible game plan again on Sunday. Why were they so effective? How could they shut down this rushing attack from Philly pretty easily?
Yeah, well, I think it's similar to Tom Brady, right? Everybody always says like the second time you see Tom Brady is always going to be the hardest time you see Tom Brady. Well, Todd Bowles, I think, is very similar. You see the Eagles back in Week 6 when they beat them in Philadelphia, and then you have the tape that kind of goes from there. So if you're Todd Bowles, you already have experience against them. You kind of see where they've altered their game plan and changed things, and you kind of have an idea of where they're going to try to attack you. We all had kind of the feeling that Philadelphia was going to try to attack the perimeter very early on. That's exactly what they tried to do, and the players not only were ready for it, they were energized to go defend it, but then they were clean making tackles up until, early fourth quarter, towards the end of the third quarter. A couple drives there, things got a little sloppy. But for the majority of the game, the defenders were not only in the right place, making the right reads, and when they got to the point of attack, they were also making strong tackles.
Weird moment in the game. Expect any fallout from Bruce Arians smacking safety Andrew Adams in this contest?
We'll see. I mean, generally speaking, I think I'm on the side of the conversation where as a coach, as a leader, really in any organization, I don't think you really have the reason to put your hands on anybody unless it's like a life-saving type of thing. Andrew Adams didn't really seem to be all that affected by it. I'm also on the side of a lot of conversations where I don't like to be offended for somebody. If Andrew Adams had a problem with it, I'm sure that he'll talk to his position coach, BA, directly. And if they need to, they can go to the NFLPA. But I don't know, there's some people who want Bruce Arians fired for it. I don't think it's going to go that far. I think everybody kind of understands it's a heat of the moment type of thing. And the coach is trying to keep his player from doing something that was going to significantly hurt his own team. So the intention probably was in the right place. The way that it manifested itself, I don't think that's necessarily the right way to do things. But again, if Andrew Adams is okay with it, they had the discussion behind closed door. If everybody that's involved agrees to move forward, then I think that's probably what will happen.
On the other side of Tom Brady and the Buccaneers kind of getting right in the Super Wild Card round was the Philadelphia Eagles, who don't have to hang their head too low. I mean, it was probably the biggest surprise as far as all the 14 teams that made the postseason during the 2021 year. A hell of a run to the playoffs. And to talk about it, Gino Cammillari joins us from Locked On Birds, Locked On Eagles. And, the surprise run, Gino, Jalen Hurts in his final performance of the year, a pair of picks and the loss. Eagles armed with 3 first-round picks this offseason. Could they utilize that to maybe aggressively pursue a quarterback on the trade market or in free agency? Or has Hurts kind of earned another year as the signal caller for Philly?
I said on our show right after the game that I think this is an exploratory offseason for everybody on the roster. I might say there's 3 or 4 guys that have their position cemented. I would say Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Jason Kelsey, guys along that line have their position cemented. But everybody else, it's going to be up in the air. And I think with those 3 first-round picks, with all the money that they have, Howie Roseman talked about optionality when he got those picks, when he traded away Carson Wentz to have this money going into this offseason. They're going to look everywhere and try every avenue to upgrade this team. Because when you look at the result of this 31-15 defeat at the hands of the Buccaneers, the Eagles got outgunned. They have to get more horses in that offense, in that defense to keep up with these good teams. You saw what the benchmark was today with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. If you want to get there, you're going to have to explore every outlet because clearly what you have on the field isn't enough to be in that great threshold where you want to get to.